briefly talk about Congress. I know you should have this sheet if you it's on my website, but okay, if you want to follow along. Now, Congress, the House of Representatives, wanted to be closer to the will of the people, so they gave them short terms, 2-year terms. Everyone is elected every 2 years, and if there is a vacancy, there must be an election. Now, the constitutional powers are all revenue bills must start in the House. They have the power to impeach, and if there is a tie in the Electoral College, no one gets 270, then the House will decide who's president. They have most of the work is done in committees. The most powerful committee in Congress is the House Ways and Means Committee. And if a bill leaves the committee, it goes to the Rules Committee. And the Rules Committee is only in the House, and it can determine how a bill will be debated. They can give it a closed ruling, means it cannot be amended, or an open ruling means it can get amended. Now, every 10 years, we must count everybody in the United States. That's because the House of Representatives is based on population. And each state legislature gets to draw the line. So if Texas has 10 representatives, then the state legislature will draw 10 districts. Now, in the past, they would draw these districts to help their own party stay in power, and that was called gerrymandering. Now, we do not do gerrymandering anymore because of the Supreme Court case. Westbury versus Sanders says all the districts must be equal in population. But the Supreme Court has allowed, under the affirmative action, a majority-minority district, meaning that you can gerrymandering a district that may have 1,000 people in it, but only 20 are minorities. You can draw a little b district inside the big district, so that 20 will have a representative, and that is gerrymandering. But the Supreme Court declared it's okay under the majority-minority ruling. Now, the Senate wanted to be a slow, consistent body, hard to change, so they gave them 6-year terms, and only 1/3 are up every 2 years, so it's going to take all 6 years for them to be removed. And if there's a vacancy, the state governor can replace the person. As you remember, the senators were elected by the state legislature, but under the 17th Amendment, now they're elected by direct vote. The constitutional powers are they approve presidential appointments and treaties, and if the House impeaches someone, the Senate will have a trial to see if they're going to remove him from office. Now, there is a filibuster. It was not in the Constitution, but it's kind of developed. Filibuster is only in the Senate because the House has a time limit, 1 hour for each person, so they cannot filibuster. Filibuster is when you talk for days and days and days trying to kill a bill just by talking it to death. Now, a cloture vote can stop a filibuster. Up until this year, it took 60 votes, but the Senate changed it and to just a majority. Now, remember, your test was made 2 years ago, so it may not have the new changes. A rider is an amendment that has nothing to do with a bill being discussed, meaning if we're talking about giving students $1,000 for college, if they wanted to, they could put an amendment to do away with the death penalty, even though it has nothing to do with the bill being discussed. Now, again, in the House, they can't do that because every amendment in the House must pertain to the bill. It must be generic to the bill. Okay, just going over some general things about the Congress. Franking the privilege, that means the government will pay for all your mailing, which is a pretty big deal. It gives incumbents a little bit of advantage. Now, there are some things the Constitution will not let Congress do. Bill of attainder, meaning they cannot put you in jail without you going through the judicial process. ecto facto law. They cannot make a law today that went into effect last month. And they cannot suspend the writ of habeas corpus, meaning they cannot put you in jail without telling you why, or without you having the right for a lawyer. Now, that is unless we are in a state of rebellion or war. Lincoln did away with this because we were in a state of rebellion, and George Bush Jr. did away with this because we were under terrorist attack. All right, we said standing committees are permanent, like the Education Committee would be a permanent. A committee to investigate the taxing scandal would not be a permanent committee. Commerce Committee, if two bills, if a bill in the House and a bill in the Senate are about the same topic but they're different, they could send it to a Commerce Committee and they would try to work out some kind of compromise between the bills. Now, seniority system is not in the Constitution, it's not a law, it's just a tradition. It's how we pick the chairmen of all the committees. Now, in the House, because the Republicans control the House, all the committees in the House have more Republicans than Democrats. So, we know one of the Republicans are going to be a chairman. It's the person who served on that committee the longest will be chairman, and that is what is the seniority. Now, the Commerce Clause or the Interstate Commerce Clause gave Congress a lot of power because they are now interpreting that, meaning that anything that you do, if you buy a hot dog in Texas, but you do not eat it to Oklahoma, you're in interstate commerce and you're under a lot more of the federal laws. Okay, I believe that's it. Oh, sorry, there is one more. I apologize. Now, incumbents are people who've been elected and now they're running again. 90% of those are elected. The reason they are is because casework and pork barrel. Casework is when they help you. They'll help you get into West Point. They'll help you with the problem with your insurance company. Now, pork barrel is also called pork. It's also called earmarks. And that means that you got a very strong senator from your state, so he moves the FBI office to your state, and that gives you a lot of jobs. It may not be good for the United States, but it is good for your state and will win him votes. Leadership. The Speaker of the House is the leader of the House, of course, and he is the only office in the Constitution. The Senate, the President of the Senate is the Vice President. He's never there. So the President Pro Tem, which is picked by a majority of the members there, and of course each one of them has a majority leader, a minority leader, and whips. Whips are people who try to get you to vote the way the party wants you to vote. Now, big thing that Congress does is the oversight. They check the other two branches and make sure they're doing what they think is correct. Iron Triangle is when an executive department like the Army wants a new tank. There's a committee in Congress who wants a new tank. There's an interest group like TI who would like to build the new tank, and so when this triangle is formed, it's going to pass. Okay, we talked about pork barrel, we talked about that. Budget, the President submits the budget, and Congress, can change it and send it back to the President. The big problem is about almost half of our budget is entitlements, meaning this is money that we have promised people. Social Security is the biggest one, Medicare, Medicaid, and so on. The War Powers Act, or resolution, after the Vietnam War, tried to limit the President's power to get us into a war by saying he can move troops, but he must go back to Congress in 30 days to get their approval, or 60 to 90 days, Congress can bring them back. All right, so hopefully that is basically what you need to know about Congress, and you need to study a little bit more on your own. So I'm going to thank you.